I would like to invite on this our moderator for this session on Regulatory Policy and Energy Transition Framework, Mr. Rajiv Mathur, Director, Haryana City Gas Limited. Our anchor presenter, Mr. Rajesh Kumar Meridita, MD and CEO, India Gas Exchange Limited, who will be speaking on creating liquidity for gas market. And our panelist, Dr. S.S. Tipse, Automotive Research Association of India, Mr. Anshu Singhal, Managing Director, MGL, Mr. Nakul Raheja, Country Leaders, India, and Mr. M.K. Tiwari, Managing Director, Bhagyanagar Gas Limited. I now hand over the session to the able hands of Mr. Rajiv Mathur, our moderator.
A very good evening to all of you. We've come to the last session of this very interesting conference on, gas-based economy for growth and sustainability. And this is the most challenging thing before us is to make it interesting for you before you call it a day. And therefore, I will not take much time. This is a very interesting session where first we will talk about how the India Gas Exchange is creating some liquidity in the gas market. For anybody who wants gas, where will he go? Will he go to a producer? Will he go to an exchange? Where will he find gas? So he is going to tell you some answers on that. And then we have Dr. Tipse. Dr. Tipse is a veteran, in as far as alternate fuels are concerned, engines based on alternate fuels, and he will tell us how flexible engines and other things are coming up in a big way, which will create a market in the transport sector for gas, LNG, whatever you want to call it, or CNG, in a very big way. And what research they have done in the last 5-10 years. Mr. Singhal will, of course, tell us about how in Mumbai they are going to set up more and more stations and bring more and more gas to people. And Mr. Raheja will tell us how leading international companies like Shell are focusing on India in a very big way to create facilities, terminals, import and whatnot, because this is a long-term story and Shell is committed to India. And then how an operator in southern India, Mr. Tiwari, will tell us how in Hyderabad he is facing all challenges of land acquisition, blah, blah, and still setting up a network. So without, taking much time, I will request Mr. Medireta. He's got a presentation. Please, thank you.
Thank you, Rajiv ji, and thanks the organizers for giving this opportunity. This is a small group, and maybe I can take liberty of, and everyone on the dais knows about us, so I will not. I would like to be brief. Let me see how I can do that. So basically, I'll be talking about what is the liquidity and how we should create liquidity in the market, and that is and what benefits that will get to the sector. So this agenda for this whole presentation was the market pillars for creating a market. And then something about gas exchange, because we have done that kind of work to some extent. Of course, more needs to be done. So what further drivers we need in creating this market more liquid? And then what is the way forward for us? So basically, when you talk about any market, any commodity, basically you talk about, you create infrastructure. Then you have suppliers, you have demand or buyers, and then you have some regulatory framework which covers the whole sector, and then the market infrastructure. So basically, when you have all of this in place, then you also need a market so that you buyers can easily look for suppliers. Whenever whatever he needs, he should be able to get to the market. The pricing should be competitive. And another part of the market is that you should get some price coming from the market. Like what is the current price, what is the price for any commodity, that should come from the market in a very transparent manner. And that price should come after having everyone competing against each other. Many buyers are competing against each other, suppliers are competing against each other, and then everyone gets the win-win from the market. So to this extent, for that objective, when we created a exchange, gas exchange, Indian Gas Exchange, we have achieved a bit of it, because we have brought many of the suppliers, many of the buyers onto a platform, and then now we discover a price, and there is a diversity amongst buyers, diversity among sellers. There is a choice that whenever you want, you can buy, and wherever you want to buy, you can actually do that. So bit of our exchange, like we started about 2 years back, and basic model for running a market or exchange is, we are basically delivery based platform. So where every buyer and seller, when it comes to the platform, it knows that he is subjected to delivery. Any trade happens, it is for the purpose of delivery. It is not a financial transaction. It's not like MCX or any other commodity exchange where you do a financial transaction. It's a delivery based. And then we have created few delivery points. We call them as delivery points, and then some of the delivery points are captured in one regional hub. So we have created 6 regional hubs. Within that, about 9 delivery points are there. So those options are available to the market. We also have provided option of buying on a very shorter term basis also. You can buy for 1 day, you can buy for day ahead, you can buy for week, fortnight, and then month. And for a month, you can buy up to 6 months. That is the benefit, that you don't have to sign a contract. Basically, once you become member or client of the exchange, simply you come on the platform, do the trading. After trading is done, you get a confirmation, yes, trading is done. Then finally, we also take care of settlement. We take care of the delivery. All of this process is handled by us. And then this is what is the overall flow of the activities which are performed by the exchange. So bidding, matching, confirmation of pipeline, then confirmation from the pipeline, yes, that pipeline capacity is available. Then we take care of scheduling, and then it's the whole information, not about the buyer and seller, but about the price being discovered and what is the volume being traded. That is available on the website and through social media. And this has been the trend of market. This is we are giving it for this financial year. So we also started doing trade of domestic gas. Or major producers like Reliance, ONGC, Vedanta, and just today we got HOEC also selling on the exchange. So many of the domestic producers have started selling, and that volume is also being traded on the exchange, subject to conditions which has been imposed by government. Government has put a condition for Reliance and ONGC gas coming from KG Basin that can be sold only at the ceiling price, not beyond ceiling price, and it can be up to ceiling price. So those conditions are being managed by our platform. And then you can see the way we have progressed in last 1 year. It is also significant. So on an average, we are doing about 7 to 8 MMCMD of trade. February was not such a good month, but from November onwards, we have picked the trade volumes. These are the prices being discovered. Comparison is given with WIM, West India Marker, which is LNG price at western coast of India. And our prices are at some discount. Of course, this keeps on changing depending on the conditions of the market. And sometimes in February, we have seen that actually our prices have gone beyond WIM also. But all of this is based on market dynamics. What's the demand and supply? So if there is a number of suppliers, they already have purchased gas and they are required to sell under some pressure, then you will find prices will go down. But normally when more buyers are there, demand is more, then prices will go up. So all of this is reflective in our market price. And these are the details of our transactions of domestic gas. Of course, this is for the purpose of just academic interest. But you can see that almost all CGD companies are participating in these markets, or many traders. So in one of the auction, we have seen total number going up to 80, 90 participants participating on the exchange platform. And also we have launched an index. It is similar to Sensex and Nifty, where you know what is the price overall market situation. The similar thing we also send out. We call it Jixi. This index will represent that what is the price being discovered in India after having transaction being done on the exchange. Because since all of these transactions are for the purpose of delivery, so they are serious transaction, and it is not assessment like any other index. It's a transaction, it's a price being discovered after trade has happened. So delivery has taken place, money has been paid and received. So all of that reflects the true price for gas in the country. So this is what we publish through social media and otherwise. And whenever you want to look at that today, if you want to buy something, some natural gas, then what can be price? So this reflects that price. This is whole of gas ecosystem is now with us in either in terms of member or being client. So almost all CGD companies, traders, marketers, international players, though few fertilizer plants are still not registered, but many of power plants are registered, and all other industries are registered with us. And whenever they feel that there is a need for any trade, they do it. Now, when we say we should create a liquid gas market or any kind of market we want to make more liquid, what is the purpose? Purpose is that you should get a price signal, and you should be able to take informed decision based on your production, consumption, investment, and all of that should get reflected in the price signal. And price signal should give you that advantage that you are able to take informed decision about investments and also what you need to do. Because today, as we heard in earlier session, that we have many forms of energy available. Now, which form you need to go, whether for this month, on month-wise you can change it, maybe for next 5 years, 10 years, that call also you should be able to take. And when you want to, so when you have a liquid market, basically you have a clear price. You know that whenever you go to the market, this will be the price, you know the price, what I'll have to pay. And there will be diverse set of sellers should be there, so that somebody, if I need for 1 month, I should be able to buy for 1 month. If I need for 1 year, I should be buy for 1 year. So all of that should be reflected. And basically, fundamentally, if you see, what you need to do to create better market is that, or bigger competition, is basically you have to reduce barriers to entry for trading in any product. You have to see that no arbitrage is happening besides commodity price. And then there should be ease of doing business for doing transactions. Not that once you negotiate, then signing of GSA and all of that should also be easy. And if you want to book a capacity on transmission, that also need to be faster. So basically, if you take any flow commodity, which is like gas, and similar thing is applicable to electricity, then there is always a transport network on which these commodities flow. We call it pipeline for gas, we call it transmission line for electricity. But basically, these are more monopoly in nature, and some infrastructure is created by law or by some regulatory body. But once they are created, that should be made available to everyone on equal basis, non-discriminate basis or neutral basis. So that's one. Then we need to have more transparency in the market. So whatever, so all the knowledge of what is happening in the system which plant has gone out, or which pipeline is not available, or how much, to what extent pipeline is available. So all of this information should be transparently available. And the system balancing, if it is required to be done, then it should be on market-based principles. And another thing which we talk about is that since in case of gas, we have another element which is taxation. And we have talked in the earlier session about uniform transmission pricing. But apart from this, one more important thing is uniform taxation, because today you are worried about if you are buying from Gujarat, then you have to pay 6% or 15% tax. If you are buying from UP, then it is 10. If you are buying from AP, you are paying 24. So all of that should not happen. You should only see economic value of the commodity, and you should see, of course, transmission is also one element, which is technical element. For that you need to take care. But beyond that, there should not be any factor which should affect your decision based for buying and selling. So these were my few very brief things which we thought that broadly any market can be made liquid. You provide only these fundamental things. And the way forward for IGX as such, as we discussed with many of you, that we are also going to launch a small scale LNG. We may also, today we have contracts up to 6 months. We are proposing to launch it beyond 6 months also. Pipeline capacity trading, that also should be possible, because somebody has booked it, and suppose he is not using, then he should be able to sell it to somebody else. Then a green certificate for compressed biogas, that's what we are working on. Cross-border trade of LNG and gas, that should also be possible, because we have neighbors like Bangladesh and of course Nepal, Bhutan, they can also buy from us. And then petroleum and other petroleum products trading. So we actually got many ideas in today's discussion with many of the players. So that will be helpful to us. So thank you. Thank
you, Mr. Mandiratta. Very, very informative. Do we have any questions from the audience? Because
wherever the license period has expired, why can't we start that? Sorry, sir, MGL भी उसमें आता है. I'm sorry for that. Wherever the GA license has expired, there can be option of taking gas from other.
See, this issue is already under discussion by the regulator. So it takes some time and cost to build an infrastructure. So it needs some time to recover the cost also. So therefore, there is a system, and a whole system is in place to see who is authorized agency, whether they are making abnormal profit or not is also determined by the regulator. So you are not going to gain anything by just declaring that exclusivity is over. Right now, if you know, the court has also given a decision on the pricing mechanism by IGL, but Supreme Court has given a decision. If that needs to happen, you have to first determine what is the tariff to be taken from the city gas, which is still not clear. So if that is not determined, how we can just open the system. So let us wait, let the infrastructure be developed, let the market be matured, then the next step will be taken, and it will be taken as and when it happens.
I think long-term direction is what you are saying, is all infrastructures would eventually get opened, access to all suppliers, producers, and a choice for the customer. That is the broad goal there before us. Of course, there are issues in between, some of which he has highlighted. And also, till yesterday, the availability of gas was limited. Even players who were willing to offer were not there, because there was so much else to do elsewhere, creating infrastructure and business. But eventually, I guess what you are saying is the answer. And ultimately, customer is the king. So finally, he'll decide what product, whom to get from, what price, etc., etc. Any other question for Mr. Mehdi Ratta, you want to stay or leave? I think he has a flight to take, so we will excuse him. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So our next, this was actually going to be a panel discussion, but what I will do is abbreviate by requesting all the panelists to, sorry, just hold on. Hold on, I'm going to. We have a very eminent automotive research specialist here amongst us, Dr. Thipse. He has done extensive work on engines, especially, various kinds of fuels, efficiency, and whatnot. So, what I will do is request him to speak on what innovations he has done in engine technology in maybe next 5-10 minutes instead of Q&A and other things. And if somebody has a question, then you can address it to him directly.
Yeah. So, thank you, Chairman, sir. First of all, thank you for inviting me here. I come from the automotive world and as a representative of the certification agencies and also development agency. So, just before I start, I'll restrict my talk to 5 minutes. But one comment was made in the last presentation which struck me that regulators don't understand and that's why they delay the process. So I just want to respond since I'm from a regulatory agency. So that is not true. Regulators do understand their job, but the complexity of the regulation has become so much. And in that whole presentation, that gentleman showed that there are like 10 types of different LNG stations. Now, if you imagine the regulator has to approve all of them. So he has to study everything. He has to ensure that there is no safety, anything, because any wrong mishap, first thing, the issue goes to courts and then they will catch the regulator. Who approved this? So they have to be also safeguarding their interests. So that takes time. Second thing I want to say is a lot of technologies are coming in India in a very breakneck speed. It's not like earlier times where something will trickle down once a while. Now it is like everything is changing so fast. And that is putting a lot of pressure on the regulatory agencies. We at ARI ourselves are feeling the heat. So in the last, I can say 5 to 6 years, I must have notified around 10, 12 different fuels. And all of that, once you notify a fuel means you are creating the way for certification of that vehicle. So you have to be ready, both from technology point of view and also facility point of view. So you have to be ready, you should know what the fuel is, otherwise you cannot certify anything. So we have to be one step ahead of the industry. So that is another challenge which we face. Now coming to technology, what we are doing, if we see the overall industry, I can say alternate fuels itself is growing in a very significant way. And in that I'll put the alternate fuels in like 2-3 baskets. So first basket I'll put is maybe biofuels. So there is a lot of talk on ethanol, methanol and biodiesel and all. So ethanol being promoted in a very big way. A lot of work being done on that. So E10, E20, now flex fuel, a lot of new technologies are coming. And we are geared up, ready to work on that. Recently, we completed the E20 study, based on which the Ministry of Petroleum launched the E20 program. Honorable Prime Minister launched that program. Parallelly, we are working on methanol 15 and so many other fuels. Second basket, I'll say, of course, gaseous fuels, which are our very first starting point. Starting with CNG first, then to some extent LPG. Now, as you know, LPG is slowly taking a backseat wherever CNG is going. So CNG penetration has increased tremendously over the years. I will say progress may be slow, but it is not absent, it is there. There are many legal hurdles, lot of issues are there. And now government is committed to 10,000 CNG stations, which I am sure which will come because there is a lot of push. LNG is another fuel which is very important, which is coming along the highway. And lot of buses and trucks will now go on LNG. I agree it's a new start. There also we played a major role in the regulation making and also certification. A lot of activity has been done. We are setting up our own LNG captive place station at our ARI. So we are going to have a lot of activity on that front also. Coming to the last part is the synthetic fuel in terms of hydrogen, I'll say, because it has to be artificially produced from something, and then it is going to be used as a fuel. So hydrogen is a very good fuel for the future. Everybody spoke about it. I don't want to repeat that, but safety is very critical because it is a highly flammable fuel, any leakage, and unfortunately in India, many a times safety is not followed in the field. Whatever type approval is given by ARAI, certificate mentions certain approved parts. Many of times in the field we observe there are a lot of deviations. And this gives bad name to the industry, gives bad name to the legalized players, and also to the certification agents to some extent. And also the fuel is blamed. So fuel should not be blamed actually. Job of the fuel is to burn. If it is burned safely, it is always desirable. Otherwise, you know, every fuel is dangerous if you handle it improperly. So from that angles, the rules, regulations which have been laid down by Government of India are very good. They are derived mostly from Europe. They are aligned now with international standards. In some cases, I'll say our rules are the most stringent in the world. I'll give an example of the generator sets, the CPCB norms which we follow. We also certify as per CPCB. They are the most stringent in the world. Even US, Europe doesn't have that kind of norms, but we have it because we deserve to have good air quality. That is very important. So that is as far as the regulatory perspective or certification is concerned. Now coming to development, lot of new technologies have come. It's a very exciting time. A lot of research work is done on engine. So hydrogen engine is the latest kid on the block. Everybody is running after hydrogen because people are slowly moving away from the fossil fuels. So diesel, petrol is there, but still slowly the use is going to come down because more options will be available, more cleaner options will be available. Then natural gas engine again is another one new area. There are some new technologies related to this, such as dual fuel is there, diesel plus gas. So you can clean up the diesel combustion along with natural gas. So we have worked on that, lot of activities. One of the vehicle which we developed is exported now internationally. So we have worked on almost, I will say, 20 to 30 different prototype vehicles in area, which are now commercially introduced by all the vehicles. So we have worked with all OEMs in India. Name the OEM, we have worked with them, whether it's Tata, Ashok Leyland, Mahindra, everybody, we work with them to develop safe and eco-friendly and what you call very cost competitive vehicles in India for the Indian conditions. Because vehicles may be developed abroad, but they don't sometimes conform to the Indian requirements. Even if you bring some technology from abroad, it is not necessary that it will work just like that. You have to make a lot of indigenization. When I say indigenization, I'm talking about technology being suited for the Indian. So a lot of tweaking, lot of changing, recalibrating, all that activity is done at ARAI. So many of the places, technology from ground up is made. So some of the technologies we have totally ourselves developed. And some of the technologies are imported and they are then suited for the Indian conditions. Or some technologies may directly work as it is. That is very rare though. But these are all kinds of models in which we work. And over the years, I am seeing there is a lot of focus. Even the customers are now well educated. They want clean solutions. They are not looking for, they say, I want this green kind of thing. I want, as somebody said, rightly said, customer is the king. Absolutely, he is the king. And they are environmental conscious now. Gone are the days where industries used to dish out some solution. These are the two models which are available. Choose what you want. Even if somebody wanted a vehicle with a color, specific color, that was not allowed. You have to wait 1 year. Now that is not the situation. The situation other way around, customer goes to the dealer, I want this particular vehicle in this particular configuration, give it to me, otherwise I'll walk to someone else. So it is the other way around now. So this is the situation which has happened. Good part is lot of competition is bringing lot of new vehicles with lot of features, but at the same time it is also affecting safety. And so lot of developments are happening. The engine is becoming more and more complicated, lot of electronics has come in. So even all the fuel vehicles have to conform to different electronic criteria. There are a lot of new tests added in the regulation to take care of that. And there is also in the field emission measurement, which has also come in. So these are some of the new things for which we are working. We at ARAI are equipped to certify all kinds of vehicles, also help the industry develop new vehicles. So that is all in a brief I can say. This is in a snapshot of what is happening. Rule-wise, we are all set. And technology-wise also, we are competent enough. I don't see any competency issue. But again, as I said, there are limitations in terms of manpower, limitations of this thing, so that might cause some delays. But overall, I think we give a certificate within 3 months. That is what is our record. So that's all from my side. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Do we have any questions from the audience? Yeah. Tawade Sahab has got one question for you, sir.
Yeah.
After superannuation, I roam around, so a lot of questions. Out of 3 R, I always say the 4th R is replaced, which I said a plastic should be replaced by a fuel. So where are we on plastic pyrolysis? And
Okay.
because that is the solution for plastic.
Actually, very good question. There is a lot of talk on the pyrolysis, not only plastic, even rubber pyrolysis or your waste pyrolysis. A lot of things are happening. Only issue is plastic contain chlorine and some parts of rubber contain sulfur. So if you pyrolyze them, all these should not go into the fuel, and then they create some kind of dangerous chemicals such as PCDD, PCDF, polychlorodioxins, which are not good for the environment. So you need to clean up that. First thing is waste segregation is absent in India, first thing. So to derive the plastic from the waste stream is the first challenge. Second thing is that waste plastic which you have derived from the waste stream, whether it is polyethylene, polystyrene or polyvinyl chloride, PVC, first you have to segregate it, you have to shred it, you have to make it into a form which is suitable for conversion, and then have the appropriate technology with the norms. And then after that, you have the particular question of the fuel. And once you take the fuel from that, it has to conform to the emission requirements. And many a times what we saw, most of the pyrolysis oils are corrosive. There is a corrosion element associated with that. So this is where the technology comes in. But I agree, pyrolysis is a very good way to go for plastic waste especially, because instead of just dumping it in landfill, throwing it out, it is the most suitable way of conversion. So in my PhD work, I did a lot of work on plastic fuels. So in fact, my whole work was on that. And when I came to India, there was practically no awareness on this field. In fact, even now, at least people are talking. And I am happy that BIS has set up a committee for pyrolysis oils now. So at least there is some interest, some government things are moving, but a lot of things can be done. So I agree with you. Yeah.
Just one question on consumer interest. 10-year-old diesel vehicles are going to be phased out.
Yeah.
So do we have a solution for them in terms of other fuel?
10-year-old government vehicles are being phased out.
Government
Not
and
private.
Government and then maybe
Private maybe in the
private.
yeah, solution, I'll tell you, there are multiple solutions. One, you convert it to CNG. Second solution is you retrofit it to some other dual fuel, as you say. Third solution is you go electric route. But again, electric has its own troubles. Hybrid could be another solution. Or you completely remove the engine, go for a totally new fueled engine. That's called replacement. So there is retrofitment, there is a replacement, or there is a conversion. All three are allowed by rules. Or you can just simply scrap your vehicle and buy a new one. And that scrapping should actually, they should give some subsidy on the scrapping. So it's indirectly benefiting the business because it's creating demand for new vehicles. So which is also good from one way. Of course, that user whose vehicle is good, mindset in Indian consumers' point of view is, why should I scrap my good vehicle? You know, what benefit I'll get with it? It's running fine, so why you want me to scrap it? That is the mindset. But now they have started with government vehicles. I'm pretty sure they'll go to private vehicles, but as soon as they go to private vehicles, there'll be a lot of issues. So they are working on end of life of vehicle policy. Yeah.
But there is hope for all the
There is hope, there is hope. No, it is always good that an old vehicle be replaced by a new vehicle from pollution point of view. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for enlightening us. Now I'll come to Mr. Ashu Singhal. Mr. Singhal will tell us about what they are doing in Mumbai and how they are expanding the network and what new things they are doing.
Thank you, sir, and thank you organizers for giving this opportunity. So although you asked me to talk about MGL and what we are doing, but before coming to that, let me just give a brief on, like we are talking about gas-based economy, then regulation, regulatory policy and energy transition framework. So, I mean, it's a very vast subject, but just to correlate in that how we are moving on with gas-based economy is that a lot of infrastructure is getting developed over a period of time, and GAIL has played an important role in that. The second part is the regulatory framework is in place since PNGRB came into being, and they have been promoting CGD since last few years. The impetus have been there, and on that we've found that almost so many GAs have already been authorized and covering more than 90% of population, as well as a lot of the districts are getting covered. Now, in that respect, if we see what are the challenges with respect to regulation in city gas distribution, so we are, as talked about the exclusivity, the main part is that in CGD we have two businesses. One is the CNG, the other is the PNG connections. Now, as a responsible CGD company, we have been doing a lot of PNG connections as well. And this year we are crossing 3 lakh connections in the city of Mumbai and the 2 other GAs which we do have. This is the highest in MGL and maybe one of the highest in all the CGD companies in the history. So that one of the big achievement is that in our company to achieve that. And lot of focus is being given to create infrastructure. There is a land issue in Mumbai and there's hardly any more land available to expand to CNG. And therefore so many complaints do come up about why the queue is there. So there are so many mechanisms which we are anyway have taken and are going to take. One is that digitization. Second is we have queue controllers. Third, we are opening up as many stations as we can. And almost more than 200 stations with OMCs we have opened up in Mumbai, as well as COCO, Dodo models and several other mechanisms we are doing. On the other part, that is Raigad, which is GA3, we don't have as much of issue of a land. So there we are going to go put up several stations and see that the queuing problem is not there. We are also converting many of the DBS stations to online stations so that filling time is reduced and we get the required pressure. The other part is with respect to the reinstatement charges, which has been a long demand from Government of Maharashtra, and we expect that is to be sorted out. So in regulation, again, if we have the current regulation enables us to sell to industry, commercial and PNG, CNG segments. So that not much of an issue is there, except that if we get priority gas, then we can make this business sustainable as the domestic gas is coming down, and some of the initiatives like HPHT gas is allocated on priority to CGD sector is a big, good step towards the right direction. And also the Kirit Parikh committee, which is recommended some ceiling and floor for the gas in the domestic side. Otherwise, we are seeing softening of the prices, so we expect that this business is going to go up. But when we talk about CGD, it's not only the metropolis which we are talking about. If we go to the more rural and other underdeveloped areas, the cost to serve goes very, very high in terms of creating the infrastructure and getting the conversions. So CGD sector is also facing challenges from electric vehicles and other alternate fuels, wherein people are looking to more newer technologies to convert. The other part is policy support has been there with Government of India in terms of getting priority gas to the companies and also enabling in so many other ways to see that the sector flourishes and also serves the PNG connections wherein LPG can be diverted to the other rural areas. In the energy transition framework, I believe it is a space is available for all the fuels, be it fossil fuel, be it other biofuels. A lot of impetus is again being given to CBG and Satat and blending of ethanol. Also the hydrogen is the new fuel. So there will be a space for all the fuels in future, and there are 4 things which are very important. We can't just say that in next 10 years all the fossil fuel will be phased out, because you need to create the infrastructure. There needs to be capex. There need to be scaling up of all the things. There need to be resources available and the policy push to make it commercially viable. So in my view, for a smooth transitioning, the market should be determining what fuel is to be given. As said, that customer has to decide based on the commercial viability. But having said that, environment also plays an important role, and they go both hand in hand, the sustainable development and at the right pricing. So in paucity of time, I won't take much more. Any questions are there, I will be more than happy to take it.
Yeah.
Sir, you have nicely explained the scenario of MGL and the gas you have expanded to the end users. Basically, if you see in India, the gas technology or gas evaluation started from 1992 and 1996 or 1998 after the Apex Court order, it has boosted in Delhi or in Mumbai. Actually the commercial vehicles got converted. But if you see, we have seen that the cost of gas was one third or one half of the gasoline cost. But when the situation has come, when the BS6 has been notified by the government of India, and there was a threat to the diesel actually, the manufacturers have started conversion of their diesel vehicle to the CNG. Earlier it was a 4%, now they shifted to the 40%. Means there is a good days for the gas vehicle. But at this stage, because of the increase in the price of gas vehicle, there is again threat to the gas vehicles. Then what will be the future of the gas, sir?
I think the hike in the prices were because the input cost was very high. So if we talk about LNG, it went from $2 per MMBTU to almost $80 per MMBTU, which is unprecedented. There were two things. One, that the COVID happened. Second, the Ukraine war. And both are black swan events and it cannot be predicted. So as you see right now, as we are sitting right now, the LNG prices have come down substantially. The second part is all non-priority sectors have been cut off. Still, the domestic production is not going up to the tune it was expected to come up. So the same gas, non-APM and APM gas, is being allocated to more and more players who are coming on fold. So there is a reduction in quantity of APM gas which is getting allocated to CGD. So you can't make a business which is non-sustainable. You procure at a higher cost and sell at a lower cost. Now coming to your question, if the delta is low between diesel or gasoline and CNG, so good news is that we are going to come up with reduction in prices in case the Kirit Parikh committee recommendation are accepted. The other part is if HPHT gas is allocated, that also brings some relief. Third is the LNG prices itself are coming down. Fourth is lot of impetus is being given on domestic production enhancement. So all these measures will somehow reflect in price, and also there is a lack of awareness about the environmental benefits which CNG offers. If you load it into the cost of externalities, we definitely have a very good case in our hands. So I believe in going forward, the delta will improve, and also the corridor is increasing. If CGD was earlier a very city-wise phenomena, now we see vehicles running from Mumbai to Ahmedabad, from Mumbai to maybe it will reach Goa, Mumbai to Nagpur, and so on and so forth. So once that comes into place, the queuing problems will also come down, and we see more growth in the sector.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Now I'll invite Mr. Nakul Raheja to share his perspective on how a leading international player views India in terms of regulation, policy, or whatever your thoughts are, how to propagate the use of LNG, gas, etc.
Thanks, Rajiv, and thank you to the organizers for inviting me here. Great to see so many colleagues from the industry over the course of the day. You're right, Rajiv, it's a tough job being one of the last speakers of the day in the last session of the day. But of course, Shell, Rajiv, as you know, has been a early as well as very proud investor, in the Indian gas business and the gas sector. We started up the Hazira LNG terminal way back in 2005, just a year after the H, at a time when LNG was by and large an unknown quantity, in the country. So we're very proud of the role we've been able to play in connecting the Indian gas market to the global LNG market, and particularly the spot LNG market, given that Hazira was based on a merchant model. But then actually if I add the BG legacy as well, because Shell acquired BG back in 2016, then our association is even more rich, one thing connecting, I think, the three of us here is BG's investment in MGL, way back. I think the MOU was signed, if I remember correctly, December 1992. at a time where, a lot of other foreign companies were sitting on the fence as far as India was concerned. So across kind of the BG and Shell, legacies, we're very proud of the role we've been able to play. And we are very optimistic as well around the prospects going forward. Of course, even about 3 or 4 years ago, we acquired Total stake at Hazira. Hazira used to be a joint venture with Total, and we made it into a 100% Shell-owned regas terminal. Incidentally, actually, the only 100% regas terminal that Shell owns anywhere in the world is here in India, right? And it's a function of how excited we are about the prospects, but how keen also we were to be able to kind of build our own gas value chain coming into India, connecting our world-leading LNG portfolio via our own LNG terminal and our downstream marketing activities, to better meet Indian customers' requirements, and their need for gas going forward.
Great to hear the commitment of Shell. In fact, you were the first to come up with a merchant LNG terminal anywhere in the world without any commitments or any kind of investment you made. I'm sure it will pay good dividends in the long run. Do we have any questions for him? I think people have understood what you said. So now we come to Mr. Tiwari. Please tell us, for a CGD player, what the challenges are and how you are overcoming them, in terms of regulatory policy and other things.
Thank you, Mathur sir. And organizers giving me the opportunity to share my views on that. Basically, this audience wants that future-ready regulators. That is a challenge for us. And in 1991, if you will remember, that a lot of changes have happened in India. And most of the people are busy as on date, I think, with their mobile phone. That story starts from 1991. Before launching such a open up of the economy in this sector, at that time, that Government of India, with the help of UNDP, has come up with a center that is known as ALTC Center, that advanced level training in communication. So they have made the future-ready professionals on that, and that's why this Suchna Kranti पूरे देश में बहुत smoothly roll over हो गई. That was the only one area where very smooth changeover has happened, and customer is delighted on that. That was the basic purpose for coming of any regulator. Software has come up, but initially that people have thought that it is because regulator is not there, people can do that. But as far as energy is concerned, that regulator is a need, because without regulator you cannot work, and it is a public related commodity where a lot of hazards is there. Question comes, if you will compare with any regulator in energy sector, it is a little bit lagging behind from the expectation of the stakeholders. So how to come out with that, that is a challenge with the industry. And I think industry should come out with a very big training centers on that, what new technology is coming up. Today we have heard a lot of our hydrogens and other things, but still we will see that what could be the standard of material, how the regulation will come up. Still nothing is coming up, and the people sitting on the dais, I think they are representing very top level of executives working in energy sector. So for future ready coming up, this challenge lies with all of us, that we should come out with a very good awareness program with the regulators and other things. If we will see the regulators, so many regulators we will find it, PNGRB, PASO and other things are there. So they should come out on single platform. So as far as your arbitration is concerned, I think that energy regulator, energy is the same, and gas is one of that. So for the purpose of coming in the regulation, time, accountability, and at the same time, the delivery as per the aspirations of the public, we should come out with a very big systems which is digitally enabled, and people can see to it where the issues are there. But in India, I think that regulation or this implementation of law, I think that is the one area where people are still to come out, that this is the thing that is the need of the hour if we will to compete in manufacturing, particularly in exporting the energy, that is hydrogen and other things. So a lot of challenges are there, that before rolling of any technology, regulator should be fully aware. And one of the example I can quote from my experience, that first time in India, when we were going for the mounted bullets, that was we are introducing in India, at that time our organization from GAIL, that one visit was conducted by for the regulator, that they should go and see the systems and then they will approve it. So more awareness, more coming of the technologies.
That was for LPG. Eh?
Yeah, that was the LPG. And then it was approved by them. So that is the one thing that regulators and industry and common platforms should be created so that a better understanding will come up and we can go much faster way. At least whatever we are getting in years, it should come in months. Then only we can come out with a very smooth transition towards a greener energy. That's all from my side.
Thank you. Dr. Saab, would you like to comment, because you are also some kind of a regulator?
No, as far as automotive regulations are concerned, hydrogen standard is also in place. Everything is in place, so I don't think there's an issue. As far as, I don't want to comment on PESO and PNGRB, but point is they also have their own, I'm sure they have their own constraints. Because typically we also deal with PESO, we find them very methodical in terms of going into what you call the approvals. And one thing is for sure that, as I mentioned, because of the increase of technology levels and number of things coming at the same time, and they being asked to work on everything, so that puts a lot of pressure on the regulatory agencies. So you have to give them some credit in terms of at least they are trying to do their job. I'm sure everything, any activity can be done better, that's for sure. But I mean, one can't say that they are not doing enough or they are not doing, they are doing their efforts, but they have their own constraints. So that is something which you keep in mind.
Quite appreciated. There are some OISD standards also. And some of those standards are 20, 30 years old. When they were made, they were the perfect standards. But I think some of them need at least a revisit to at least say that, okay, they are all right, or something can be done. So maybe I think that also needs some amount of a relook. Any comments from the audience, or anybody wants to say anything before we close the session for the day? I think we have all understood whatever each other is saying. So we'll close the session. Thank you all. Thank you very much. I can understand and appreciate, and let's clap for the patience of the audience. 6:30.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mathur. I think everybody's understood everything, so there are no questions, right? I would like to request you to hand over the memento to Dr. S.S. Thipse. Mr. Ashu Singhal. Mr. Nakul Raheja. And Mr. M.K. Tiwari. And I request Hemant sir to please hand over the memento to our moderator, Mr. Rajiv Mathur. Thank you so much, gentlemen.